The sky above the hive city is an iron wound. Clouds rasp around a green-lit tear where reality buckles, leaking soundless thunder over cathedral spires and smoke-belching manufactoria. A point of emerald fire spits from the rupture and scours down through smog, trailing shards. The impact hits a slag yard between rust-red conveyors. A blossom of diamond facets erupts, bracing the fall into a crater of glassy splinters. The facets retract, folding into a teenage silhouette. Ben Tennyson shakes grit from his hair and checks the Omnitrix, its green face pulsing steady. Okay, definitely not Bellwood, he mutters at the serrated skyline and the pilgrim coffins nailed to light poles. Dial it in, Ben. Keep the weird to a manageable oh no. A distant voxhorn moans penitential litanies. Sirens claw nearer, armored boots drumline discipline. Time for a quiet exit, he says, slapping the dial. Emerald light floods him. Big chill unfurls. Chitinous wings whisper breath fogs to hoarfrost. He sinks through his own diamond glass crater, phasing into the substructure as Arbit's riot wagons squeal into the yard above, and enforcers fan out with shot cannons and shock mauls. Purity seals crackling in the ash-laden wind. Unknown meteor. Signs of Xenos incursion, a Vox-barked voice reports. By warrant of the Lex Imperialis, secure and scour. Big chill glides away beneath steel bones of the hive, cold and unseen, following the thrum of panic radiating through the city like a fever. He surfaces inside a manufactorum nave, where statues of saints glare from soot-caked alcoves. Hundreds of workers in grease-grimed habits kneel as a priest thrashes incense at a cracked shrine. The candles gutter sideways as if reality itself is breathing wrong. A squad of steel-jawed soldiers, flak armor patched, laser guns held with banished sleep, barter with a woman in a flak-weave cloak, rosette hanging stern at her throat. An inquisitor. Her eyes are pale and exacting, voice clipped to the bone. Heretic signals have penetrated 3 strata, she says to her skull-faced interrogator. The threads converge beneath Sump 9. We cut there or the canker spreads. Big chill hovers unseen at the rafters, frost whispering from him like falling ash. He watches the rosette's gravity, the way even soldiers avert their gaze. He listens until he has enough coordinates, times, a warning, sanctioned cleansing measures if containment fails. He fades back into the vents, drops into the bowels of the hive as the Omnitrix begins to tick down cold seconds in his veins. He slips through heat haze and sump vapor until he reaches a caverned underhive where pipes bleed oil like veins. Candles gutter along a chalk star daubed in corpse ash, its geometry wrong to the human eye. Chanting rasps in the dark, hooded shapes, chain knife hilts catching gutter glow. The dial chirps. Time. He lands in shadow, green radiance swallowing the frost. Ben returns, small and warm and very mortal. All right, brain over brawl. He turns the dial again. Emerald strobes. Gray matter clicks into being, a pocket-sized galvan with eyes like bead-bright knives. He pads to the ritual circle, antennae tasting the air. Warp residues hum against his skin. Subharmonics, non-Euclidean alignments, sympathetic blood resonance indexed to the city's cathedral bell harmonics. Huh, he whispers. This is a feedback geometry keyed to the hive's architectural choir. Smart. Awful. But smart. He scuttles under a rusted grating, scales a rivet, peers into a ruined shrine where cult scribes tally sacrifices with Bonabachi. His mind maps angles, inferences, weak points. Break the bell line resonance. Scramble the star. Collapse the phase window. Footsteps scrape. A sentry wanders too close. Gray matter freezes, then flicks the dial with a tiny hand. Green light peels the little genius away into a ripple of sound. Echo splits from himself. 1, 2. A dozen chalk-white childlike silhouettes, black mouths like speaker cones. The chorus spreads, tiny and light, nesting along conduits and behind oil drums. Okay, me, the voices hiss to one another. We hum on their hum. We hear when they move. We stay very, very quiet, they do. From the dark, Echo hears a timetable. The main right at shift change in a sump temple beneath a derelict factorum. The bell line using the hive's own devotional chimes as power rails. The knife that will cut the air. Above, Arbite's thunder closer. Between the hammer and anvil, civilians grind like grain. Got enough, whispers every echo at once. They collapse into one, green flash washing the shadows clean as Ben returns. He breathes, hard. People first, then the circle. Sump 9 is an art of rust. Catwalks thread between vat pits belching fungal reek. Workers huddle on the platforms, cuffed and shoved by gangers with cult tattoos welted into their skin. The gangers' last fire burns lines into the fog to keep the scared corralled. Somewhere deep, a low bell tolls like a toothache. Ben strides out, hands raised. Hey, mercy minute, okay? These folks aren't part of your creepy geometry homework. The gangers hiss devotions, safeties click off. One fires. He slaps the dial. 4 arms hits the walkway like a falling bulkhead. Red skin, 4 fists, grin full of trouble. Las beams skate off him as he grabs the support rail and shakes the catwalk until gangers spill like loose bolts. He catches 2, stacks them like crates, plucks a third with an upper hand while a lower arm plows a makeshift barrier from scrap. Everybody move, he booms to the workers. Down the ladder follow the nice lady in the yellow hood. Yes, you. You're in charge now. A chain blade snarls. A champion leaps. 4 arms meets him midair, catches the buzzing teeth in one hand and twists until the motor screams and dies. He flicks the champion into a pipe and the pipe folds. Sorry. Urgent schedule. Sirens wail closer. Arbit's shot cannons bark and gangers scatter like roaches. Ben plants himself between badges and terrified workers and raises all 4 hands. Don't shoot the terrified people, please. An Arbit's proctor skids to a halt, visor reflecting a very large red Xenos. By law, you are contraband. The proctor growls through a vox grill. Stand aside or be pacified. 4 arms smile thins. Look, I get the whole contraband vibe, but if you want this hive to keep not exploding, we need those folks clear like now. We good? They are not good. But the proctor is pragmatic. His eyes tick to the huddled civilians, to the rosette sigil broadcasting from distant Vox. He grunts. Evacuate, he orders his squad. Containment corridor Gamma 7. Ben exhales. Then the Omnitrix chirps a warning. Right. Time. He points with a lower hand. Sump temple under the broken aquifer. That's your infection. I'm the antiseptic. Try not to. Arrest me yet. He leaps from the catwalk. The metal howls under his weight as he pounds into the dark, toward the wrong-breathing heart of the hive. A cathedral skeleton squats in the sump. Once it bore iconography. Now scrimshawed bones and stained banners of the ruinous powers sag from its ribs. Cultists sway around a circle of ash and rust, knife poised over a bound pilgrim. Ben edges into the nave, breath frosting where it shouldn't. His hand hovers over the dial. Outside, the hive's devotional bells begin to ring, sweet, distant, and horribly useful to whatever gnaws through from the other side. A voice cracks over citywide Vox, cool as a scalpel, the Inquisitor. By writ of Ordo Hereticus, if the spread is not halted within the next cycle, sanction will be applied. All non-combatants within sectors Theta through Iota will be considered expended for the preservation of the whole. Workers nearby hear it. Their faces crumple. Some begin to pray, some begin to run. Ben looks up at the stained vault, jaw set. No, not like that. He slaps the dial. XLR8 explodes into motion. The world becomes a blurred artery. He skims along walls, wind screaming, scooping children and elders into alcoves, ferrying them past choke points into Arbite's corridors where shock shields make cover tunnels. He snatches a ringing sensor from a cult acolyte mid-swing, uses its chain to yank the acolyte off his feet, drops 3 more with the blunt mercy of momentum. He staggers to a stop. Chest-heaving chitin plating buzzed raw. The Omnitrix pings again, harder now. Time is a fuse. All right, 1 more lap, he says to himself. Then we cut the cord. Heat shimmers before the circle. The knife descends. Ben darts, but the world lurches. The Omnitrix times out with a traitor's chime. He tumbles, human again, onto the gritty floor. The cult leader looms, tattooed with crawling sigils. The knife flashes not. Today. His palm smashes the dial. Cannon bolt blossoms, a living wrecking ball. He contracts into an armored sphere and takes the full shock of a chain axe to his shell, then ricochets across the nave. Ben's cannon bolt ricochets again, bowling through robed bodies like skittles, bounces off a pillar and detonates through a heretical lectern. The knife clatters away. He unrolls on the circle's edge, blinking. The heat is wrong again. Cold fire snaking from between the angles, slick with whispering flies of light. He slams the dial. Heat blast flares. Cinder skin, comet heart. He sears a counterline through the chalk star, cauterizing sigils, forcing the geometry away from its true north. Flame hits warped air and writhes. The fire gutters green at the edges, but it holds. Cultists scream curses and fire las bolts. Heat blast takes the shots on a skin of flickering plasma, launches a wash of heat that turns rifle sights to syrup without touching the flesh beneath. Go, he shouts to the captives. Find the guys with shields and an attitude problem. The bells rise. The nave trembles. A tear opens in the air like a grin. Bad, Heat Blast says. Very bad. He kills the flame, feeling the warp draft lick at his heat. The Omnitrix ticks with the cold certainty of a clock striking midnight. Green light flares. Diamond Head stands where Heat Blast burned, crystal plates locking into a shield big as a chapel door. Warp filth splashes the crystal and hisses. A claw like a butcher's hook gropes outward from the tear. He braces, teeth gritted. Ben, buddy, you're out of road. Think. Shots hammer his shield. He peeks past it. Arbits forming a firing line at the transept. The Rosette's cloak swaying like a cut pennant as the Inquisitor steps into view. Pistol raised, eyes like winter. Contain it, she calls, voice amplified to a liturgy. All units, fire on the circle. Wait, Ben shouts. You hit the angles wrong, you feed it. Her gaze cuts to him. One Xenos-shaped problem among 1,000. For a half-second she weighs lives like coin. Then correct them, she snaps. Or I burn the ledger, he nods once. On it. Diamond Head's shield locks against the floor as a second claw rips the tear wider. He slams the dial with a free hand. Emerald radiance fractures his crystal silhouette into something small and impossible. Gray matter tumbles out, already moving. He scampers across the ash, skirting the shield's shadow. His mind sings in angles and bells, drawing lines between statues, cracked ribs of the nave. The devotional chimes harmonics threading through the hive's bones. You leaned on their architecture, he tells the circle as if it can hear. So I lean back. He vaults a groove, spits on his fingers, and smears a connecting line between two sigils. The hum shifts. He kicks a brass reliquary 2 degrees clockwise. The bell tone falters, finds a new overtone. He whistles, and a shadow up in the vault answers. Echo, echo multiples, pale and eager. On my count, Gray Matter says. We hit a counter-resonance, soft, precise, not a concert. A scalpel. Echoes bloom along broken arches and fractured pipes. 3, 2, 1. They sing, not loud, but perfect. A clean, focused tone knifes through the nave and sets the corrupt note quivering out of phase. The tear judders, its edge stuttering like a bad signal. The claw lurches, losing purchase. Arbits hold their fire, eyes flicking, some to the rosette, some to the rip in the world. The Inquisitor watches, unreadable. Gray Matter sprints, chalks a new angle with a shard snapped from Diamond Head's shield. The Omnitrix beeps a knife-edge warning. He does not have one more transformation in him before the cooldown. This has to land. Cultists charge, knives shining. Time to get loud, he says, and the world answers. Green washes. Echo Echo returns in a storm of selves, the clones forming a living wall that opens only where Gray Matter scurries. They exhale a wave of phase sound that drives the cultists to their knees, hands slapped to ears. The Omnitrix's warning peals like a bell within the bell. Hold, Gray Matter whispers. Hold, the tear cinches. The claws scrabble, gain nothing, and are neatly shorn as the geometry flips. The bell tone slipping from resonance into null. Warp light implodes, air slams into the absence. Candles extinguish all at once. Silence hits like a verdict. Cultists drop their knives, some sobbing. Others stare at their dead gods vanishing with wet-eyed vacancy. Arbits advance, shackles ready. The Inquisitor lowers her pistol, never taking her eyes from the circle. Gray Matter stands panting in the chalk and dust, very small in a very large horror that is, for the moment, caged. He looks up at the rosette. Don't purge, please. Your plea is noted, she says. A razor of a smile almost cuts her mouth. Xenos. The Omnitrix gives a long, tired chime and goes dark. They do not thank him. Arbites sweep survivors into ordered lines, while med saints in leaded robes bind wounds with hands that smell of antiseptic and incense. Servitors carve purity seals from fresh wax to plaster over bullet holes in the nave's pillars. The Inquisitor stalks the circle's remains, murmuring sanctions into a vox skull. Ben stands by a cracked font, human again. Bruised to the bone, Omnitrix dial dim. The proctor from before approaches with 2 shock mauls and a dozen unreadable intentions behind his visor. You intervened, the proctor says, as if logging a crime. I helped, Ben says, with a tired grin that doesn't quite reach. Big difference. You broke ordinance. You stayed my fire. You altered a right you do not understand, and you prevented a greater loss of life. The proctor's jaw works. Sentence suspended. For now. The Inquisitor pauses at the circle's rim and studies Ben as if deciding which box to put him in. Tool, threat, Anomaly. Finally, she inclines her head a fraction. You compromised a working I was prepared to erase with fire, she says. You did so without becoming a vector. That is rare. I'm good at not being a vector, Ben says. It's kind of my whole thing. Do not mistake this for clemency, she replies. This world will continue to burn, in slow measures or sudden. If you remain, I will collar you to a cause you will not like. If you go, I will not spend shells on dragging you back. A pilgrim child peeks from behind a shield wall, eyes wide, a smear of candle soot on her cheek. Ben lifts a hand and waggles his fingers. She almost smiles. He looks at the Inquisitor. Then we agree on something, he says softly. I'm not here to become another weapon. Everything here is a weapon, she says. Even mercy. The Omnitrix flickers, gathering breath. The green returns, faint but stubborn. Somewhere above, the wound in the sky groans as gravity and faith grind against what was tried tonight. The hive's bells settle into their true devotions. The air still tastes like old blood and hot metal, but the wrongness has thinned. Ben steps back from the font. No hard feelings if I don't stick around for the paperwork? Be gone before my scribes finish their notes, the Inquisitor says. And if you return, return only with purpose. He nods, glances at the workers being herded toward light, at the Arbites who have not shot him, at the Proctor whose visor hides something almost human. Hey, Ben says, pointing at the Proctor's chest cam. Try evac first next time. It plays better, the Proctor snorts, just once. Move, he tells his squad, almost gentle. Ben breathes in oil and incense and the sour tang of fear. He sets his hand on the Omnitrix. Dial me something with wings, green flares. Big Chill unfurls. The knave steams where his cold passes. He rises, weightless and silent, through fractured vaulting and out into the hive's night. The sky wound snarls. He angles toward it, frost trailing like pale smoke. For a heartbeat, he hovers over the city. Tiered misery and adamant faith. The endless grind and the small, stubborn kindnesses that survive it. Wrong universe, he whispers to himself. Right choice. He folds into the tear, and the hive's bells keep ringing, and the Inquisitor lowers her eyes and signs a sanction that, tonight, she will not send. The Omnitrix pulse fades into distance. The wound knits to a scar. The hive breathes, ragged but alive. As Ben ascended toward the gathering, the hive's brutal hierarchy revealed itself in living cross-sections. Servants with implanted control devices moved in soundless files, eyes emptied of will. Armored guards bearing the sigil of House Helmore held the choke points, their weapons obscene in scale, city erasers holstered as fashion. Administratum officials hunched beneath avalanches of parchment and data slates, spines bent by centuries of obedience. The chamber itself was the Amber Court, named for walls of fossilized resin encasing ancient insects, glowing from within with a honeyed bioluminescence that warmed the eye and chilled the soul. 200 nobles thronged the floor, couture at the knife edge between high Gothic decadence and something subtly, sinfully Xenos. Masks glittered, precious metals and bone, some unmistakably not human. Ben took the high ground, an emerald flare, a whisper of frost. Big Chill folded around him, turning his silhouette into a seam of cold shadow along a gallery cornice. Below, servitors ferried trays of impossible delicacies. Musicians stroked instruments that moaned at the threshold of hearing. Nobles played social wars in murmured feints, alliances born and strangled with a glance. He tapped the Omnitrix, green-washed. Gray matter perched where Big Chill had clung. The Galvan's eyes narrowed, micro-muscles in his brow parsing patterns in heat and motion. Okay, elevated temps, irregular heartbeats, narcotics I don't recognize, and those aren't your average bolt-on augmetics. Beneath silks and brocade moved biomechanical seams, no crude laborer's plate, but flesh in conversation with alien craft. Gray matter recorded with the Omnitrix's passive telemetry, tagging interaction webs, weighting influence. The apex moved like a knife through silk, a tall, slender figure wearing a silver filigree mask. When he approached, people rippled, some basking, some recoiling with fear they thought hidden. Ben watched for hours, swapping forms when the Omnitrix chimed cooldowns, resting human in the dark between breaths, then resuming with echo tucked among organ pipes to sample subsonic cues, then back to gray matter for probabilities, to Big Chill for invisibility. He mapped the hierarchy, the ritualized games, the lines of force converging on the dais. The master of rebels mounted the dais and raised his hands. The amber walls seemed to pulse. Music shifted into a cadence that made Ben's molars ache. The voice that followed caressed rather than struck, words sliding past ears into marrow. My friends, we have fed the flesh and stoked the mind. Now nourishment for the soul. The other world calls. We answer. Mask came off. Faces remained beautiful but wrong. Eyes set a fraction too wide. Cheekbones honed beyond human symmetry. Teeth fractionally too numerous. They swayed as one. A crystal chalice rose in the master's hand, its liquid an oil slick of iridescence. Every instinct in Ben screamed. Gray matter's scan pane spiked, warp saturation in the chalice. The nobles measured steps, building a psychic resonance keyed to the chamber's geometry. Not a masquerade. A rite. He slipped back to himself and opened the secure Vox channel Inquisitor Vale had given him, confirming ritual sorcery at the Amber Court. Participants, roughly 200. Central conduit on the dais, master in silver mask. Vale's reply came cold and immediate. Withdraw. Kill team commencing purge. Ben angled toward the exit. Below, the chalice passed to the inner circle. With each sip, fingers lengthening to talons, pupils dilating until scleras were devoured. Air warping with heat like breath from a furnace. The doors detonated inward. Deathwatch entered like judgment. Bolters coughing mass reactive sermons. Nobles died in red fog. Some fled with inhuman speed. Others drew elegant weapons and died holding them. The master did not flinch. Reality folded around him. A portal flowered. Impossible colors. Writhing geometries beyond sanity. Opening in the heart of the dais. The inner circle moved to cross. Ben made his choice. He vaulted the gallery. Mid-air, he hit the dial. Forearms landed like a dropped machine god, marble screaming under his weight. The master turned with inhuman speed, silver filigree fused to shifting flesh. Ah, the Inquisition's new pet. The voice purred in harmonics no human throat could find. Disappointing. I had hoped for a worthy adversary. Forearms drove a textbook strike into the master's chest. It felt like hitting a plasteel bulkhead. Laughter rolled out and several nearby nobles bled from their ears. I have supped on the power of gods, little man. Your brute strength is... Forearms' grin was all trouble. Cool story. So why the hurry to bail? If you're all powerful, why run from people with badges? I do not flee, insect. I ascend, the master hissed, gaze wrapped with the portal's light. When I return, it will be as a prince of pleasure. Forearms pivoted, keeping his mask between the cult leader and the yawning wound. The Omnitrix ticked, a metronome counting down. He needed to break the engine. Green flashed. Gray matter hit the dais in a sprint, mind whirring. He tasted the power web, ritual resonance braided to embedded mechanisms under the amber. The master's mutated body closing a circuit between realities. Okay, you're a choir wired into a switchboard, he muttered. So we dropped the pitch and we snapped the board. He slapped the dial. A dozen echoes butted outward, scattering to the chamber's edges, tucking into arches and behind broken statuary. On my mark, we hum counterphase. Not loud, precise. Then Diamond Head rose where gray matter had been, crystal plates unfolding. He drove spears of living gem into the dais at stress lines gray matter had marked, then twisted. Fractures roared out like lightning. The portal guttered, its edges tore and reknit, echo sang. A clean, needle-fine tone lanced the room, undercutting the ritual's rhythm. The portal stuttered, colors juddering, geometry smearing. The inner circle staggered, reaching for their god door like drunks for a rail. The master screamed, an idea of sound clawing the mind. He lunged with talons like foot-long scalpels faster than the eye. The Omnitrix chimed. Ben flowed into XLR-8, world stretching into a slow river under his feet. He slid under the strike, skated up the wrecked rim of the dais, and snatched the cult blade from the priest nearest the edge, using it as a lever to torque one of Diamond Head's crystal wedges deeper into the dais. The carved geometries cracked. The portal's pull surged inward, hurricane force inverted into a sink. The master overshot, and the collapsing event seized its conduit. Flesh elongated, elegance ruined. He clawed for purchase and found only Diamond Head's faceted shield, then nothing at all. The inner circle followed, bodies caricatured into elastic grotesques as the wound cinched tight. XLR-8 cut clear in a blur. Echo throttled down, letting the new silence take the room. With a final impossible flash and a sound like a thought tearing, the portal closed. On the broken dais, only a scorched circle remained. Deathwatch finished the work without ornament. The Amber Court became a charnel house. the golden light lapping at pools of blood and roped viscera. Bolters swept. Nothing moved that wasn't ordered. Vale entered last, power sword snarling with caged lightning. She regarded the ruin as if it were a ledger. Then her gaze fixed on Ben, now human, chest-heaving, omnitrix, a low green heartbeat. "The master?" she asked. "Banished," Ben said. "Inner circle with him. The gates torn out at the roots." Vale studied the scorched circle, then gave a surgeon's nod. "Acceptable. Interrogation would have been preferable. He was past human," Ben answered. "Whatever answers you wanted would have come back as screams." Her eyes sharpened. "You speak as one with experience." Ben thought of names he never says aloud. "I've dealt with things that think people are furniture." They left the Amber Court through corridors locked down by her writ. Helmore troops manned a cordon with the dull efficiency of men who understand they do not own their lives. Alarms bled into hymns as systems switched from emergency to containment. "What you saw is not an isolated bloom," Vale said as they walked. "The noble house's court powers they cannot comprehend, mistaking corruption for cleverness. Children with plasma weapons." Ben said nothing. The mass executions weighed like a stone. He had seen the teeth behind the masks, the portal's hunger, but the floor remembered bodies. "You disapprove," Vale observed. "I question the yield," Ben said carefully. "Slaughter makes martyrs and drives rot deeper. Surgery beats amputation when you can manage it." Vale stopped and faced him. "In the Imperium, corruption is not merely illegal. It is existential. The enemies of man are entropy with a will. They do not reform. Decadence is not a sin of taste. It is the soil in which reality's undoing takes root. Each compromise thins the veil until it tears." Ben thought of the guardrails he'd helped build back home, of telling people no kindly and meaning it. Killing every suspect wastes lives you could be saving. Precision is harder, but it sticks. "Spoken like a man from a simpler age," Vale said without mockery. "Perhaps that is why the Emperor threw you into my path. Our methods calcified into dogma long ago. A fresh angle may reveal blind spots," she resumed walking. "I will consider your counsel, Ben Tennyson. In return, I require your continued service. An alliance of unmet middle ground. He would not change an Inquisitor's creed overnight, but in the cracks of purges he could wedge lives free." "I'll help," he said. "My code stands. I don't execute unarmed prisoners or civilians. No exceptions." "Your reluctance is noted," Vale replied. "Remember, in the Imperium there are fates worse than death. Mercy without understanding is cruelty dressed for court." She touched her vox. "Prepare my shuttle to the Fortress Inquisitorial. Inform Magos Drelok we bring him a unique specimen for analysis." Ben's stance tightened. Vale's mouth quirked. "Your device remains yours," she said. "Not your person. The trace is your transformation sleeve. Crystalline residues, thermal and acoustic signatures. Show ingenuity our Mechanicus may translate into detectors and counters. They might in turn offer tools you could use when you are." Her eyes flicked to the dim Omnitrix. "Merely human. Offers cost. In the Imperium, everything did. For now," Ben said, "we keep it external. No one lays a cogtooth on the Omnitrix." "Expected," Vale said. "We proceed then." The Fortress Inquisitorial hung over Necroandanda like a moon that had learned to hate. Gun lines furred its hull, each battery capable of drawing a hive into glass. Within, interrogation labyrinths, research cloisters, data vaults too venomous to keep planetside. From Vale's quarters, Ben watched the world turn. Pollution squall blanketing hive forests where billions scraped a living from heat and prayer. "Impressive, is it not?" Vale asked, now in black and gold, rosette bright as a wound at her throat. "I see waste," Ben said. "Trillions in manufactured scarcity to feed a machine that blunts most of what people could be." "Reason is a luxury," she replied. "The Imperium is not optimized for efficiency. It is optimized to not die." "Those goals don't have to fight," Ben said. "Perhaps not where you come from." She activated a hololithic map of the galaxy. Imperial gold freckled the stars. Red warnings burned like ulcers. "We fight on 1,000 fronts against things that neither bargain nor end. Tyranids that eat worlds, orcs who live to break them, Necrons waking to unmake the living, and chaos that turns us against ourselves." The projection zoomed to a crimson heartbeat near the core. Another black crusade forms in the Eye of Terror. The 13th. Each has cost billions to turn. Ben's gaze traced force distributions, the stubborn math of attrition. Brutal logic if you accepted the premise that nothing could be solved, only survived. Vale dismissed the map. Magos Drelok examined traces from your interventions. Not your device. Stand down. From Diamond Head's constructs, from Heat Blast's thermal skins, from Echo's phase hums. She offered a slate of schematics. He proposes external kit you can use without touching your core. Field projectors that can anchor a Diamond Head lattice. Reflex boosters compatible with human muscle. A scanner tuned to the frequencies you and your echoes cut through the warp's howl. More sensitive than our Orspecs in narrow bands. Ben skimmed. The tools would help, but every Mechanicus boon came lacquered with machine ritual and strings. I'll field test what doesn't mess with the watch, he said, tapping the Omnitrix. Integration stays in my hands. The Magos will sulk, Vale said dryly. But sulking does not void his vows. She led him into a secure briefing room. Acolytes waited. A data savant with eyes that never stopped flickering as feeds crawled past. A former Arbit's judge whose scarred face had learned not to flinch. A sanctioned psyker sheathed in silver-scripted wards. A death cult assassin whose skin was a map of oaths carved in flesh. My retinue, Vale said. Decades of service. They will support you on your next assignment. The hololithic table painted a slice of Hive Primus Ben had not walked yet. Strata labeled in Administratum Cant. Transit veins like capillaries. Red sigils pulsing where Vale's quarries bled through. Same disease, Vale said. New organ. Ben flexed his hand over the Omnitrix. The dial's face glowed, tired but ready. Then let's operate, he said. Surgical. Not scorched earth. Vale did not smile. Bring me results, she said. And try not to teach my entire fortress bad habits. Can't promise anything, Ben said. Already mapping angles and exits. Already hearing bells and choosing where to stand between them and the knife. The galaxy writhed with 1,000 wars. He would pick one more thread and pull. The Omnitrix chimed, steady. The work went on. The hololith painted the mercantile hexadex, trading palaces and guild spires where fortunes moved like planets. Inquisitor Vale's voice stayed surgical. Our strike in the Palatine Spire cut one vector. The disease runs deeper. The noble cult's Sanitech and warp-tainted narcotics flow through a ring protected by Guildmaster Orsian. Images. Orsian, fat with power, gold-plated prosthetic, neural studs gleaming, flashed beside revenue webs and influence maps. The data savant droned numbers. The former Arbite's judge named untouchable charters and murdered investigators. Ben skimmed the slate. You don't want a headline bust. You want the skeleton. His ledgers, routes, buyers, off-world contacts, Vale said. Burn the roots. I need sector trade baselines, manifests, customs, transfers, Ben replied. Plus schematics, utilities, comms, and security for the hexadex. Granted, the judge rasped. Guild forces answer only to Orsian. One more thing, Ben added. A surface base, independent. Vale held his gaze, then nodded. Acceptable. Judge Kaga will provision a mid-hive safe house. She dismissed her retinue. The room shrank to quiet and warning. There's rot closer to home, she said softly. 3 Inquisitors cleared Orsian against evidence. If he's turned any of us, even this fortress can be blind. You'll have only what I can give directly, Ben's jaw set. I work fine without chaperones. Vale's privacy field hummed on. He killed my predecessor, Inquisitor Corinth. Halo star toxin that mimics heart failure. By the time I secured the body, the proof was gone. Her hand found a silver locket. Corinth's last message named the Vermilion Protocol. I've chased it 3 years. All paths lead back to Necroandanda and Orsian. Revenge fogs the lens, Ben said. Justice clarifies the shot, Vale answered. Find me the truth he buried. If the protocol is what I suspect, millions depend on it. Ben nodded. I'll bring you proof, and what happened to Corinth. Good, Vale said, killing the field. A shuttle waits. Kaga's codes will open doors the Rosette does not. A beat. If you find proof of inquisitorial corruption, do not confront. Record. Return. Ben left the fortress knowing the role. Deniable knife, aimed where politics could not reach. Mercator's reach hid the safe house in plain Habgray. Ben tripped its systems. Armored shutters fell. Concealed turrets winked awake. Augur arrays tasted the warp. Over 3 days, he turned it into a lean command node. Not a cave, a nerve. Gray matter crawled the racks, stitching the auger array to the Omnitrix's telemetry. Echo sampled vox bands and wrote filters. Human again, Ben mapped watchers and blind alleys across the surrounding blocks. By the 4th sunrise, he was seeing more than the Hive wanted him to. He started at the edge of Orsian's empire, The guildmaster rarely left the golden counting house, but his pieces did. One piece stood out. Chief of Security Thaddeus Vex, once a guard colonel, now dishonorably discharged and comfortably paid to be ruthless. Ben shadowed him through 2 days of inspections, logging routes, response times, and levers. On the third, in a lower mid-hive warehouse labeled agri-equipment, the line went taut. The catwalks groaned as forearms dropped from the rafters. Vex spun fast for a man with cracked ribs waiting to happen, bolt pistol barking mass-reactive thunder. Forearms slammed a support beam into the shot, sparks spitting, and closed. The knife Vex drew hummed with a power field. Diamond head flashed in, crystal forearm catching the blade in a spray of blue light. "We can do this the hard way," Ben said, voice flat. "Or the quick way." Vex drove in, trained and ugly good. Ben flowed, XLR8 for a single heartbeat of blurring reposition, back to human to keep the Omnitrix for later. A wrist trap, a heel sweep. The bolt pistol skittered. Echo echo butted 3 deep, a soft phase tone wobbling Vex's equilibrium without melting his brain. "You're the shadow," Vex grated, breath sawing. "Orsian's bounty on you could buy a cruiser." "Not shopping," Ben said. "The Vermilion Protocol. Talk." The name punched through Vex's discipline. Fear flickered. He fought it, then lost to physics and his own lungs. "It's a contingency," he rasped, "for when the throne fails. When the Astronomicon dies and the Imperium fractures. Orsian is building the lifeboat. Alliances, factories, alternate comms. That's not the heresy." A bitter laugh. "The insurance is chaos," Ben said. "Not in a hymn book way," Vex said. Sweat sheeted. "Intermediaries, renegades, not fully turned. They trade tech and protection for resources. Names, I don't get names, but I've seen shipments, physics-ignorant weapons, and something alive under the counting house." "What killed Corinth?" Ben asked. Vex stared past him. When he spoke, it was small. "The thing in the vault, shapeshifter. Took an acolyte's face, poisoned him in private briefing. The vault's triple secured, physical, psychic. Only Orsian has the key." He started to shake. Whether from fear or the last of his courage burning out, Ben couldn't tell. "You won't stop it," Vex whispered. "When the beacon dies, the Imperium dies. Orsian's network is all that's left. Trading humanity's soul for safe passage," Ben said. "What's a soul worth in endless war?" Vex laughed, wrong and wet. "More than the Corpse Emperor can pay now." Ben dropped him gently, Echo's tone easing into unconsciousness. He had enough to draw a straight line to the vault, and new uncertainties. A mimic that could wear any face. Trust would be a currency rationed to zero until tested. Rumor had outpaced him, a nightborn thing that punished wolves and shielded sheep. The Sump now wore the sigil of the Iron Apostles, tech zealots whose leader, Fam Kine, had traded most of her flesh for shuddering bionics and a prophet's certainty. Ben watched 3 days. The Apostles kept the waterworks functioning and taxed access instead of choking it. They traded Uphive. Order of a kind. On the 4th night, Big Chill ghosted through their concentric alarms. Keen found Ben waiting in shadow. Her augment weapons woke, fields crackling. "The Night Haunter honors me," she buzzed. "Come to take shadow?" "To deal," Ben said from the dark. "You understand machines and markets. I need both." "Bold to assume I need you." "You need fewer enemies and more redundancy," Ben replied. "I can stiffen your defenses, widen your routes, reduce Arbit's heat. And," he stepped into the edge of light, human and honest, "when Orsian falls, I can open corridors he's damned." Kine's lenses tightened. "He is beyond reach." "No one is," Ben said. "I need intel on shipments that don't exist on paper, tech that smells wrong, ghosts in the citizen rolls." "Dangerous," Kine said. "Those who follow Orsian's shadow go missing. Your people won't," Ben said. Gray matter unfolded on the workbench, already pointing out flaws in their sump filtration and overload-prone circuits. "I'll harden your plant, optimize outputs, and teach your techs what sticks. Payment for partnership, not tribute." Kine's metal fingers tapped a calculus. Finally, the power fields around her hand faded. "The Iron Apostles will trade," she said. "If you fail, we never knew you." "Understood," Ben said, clasping steel with gauntlet. "Let's build something that lasts longer than a rumor." Weeks shrank to days. Through the Apostles and bought tongues in the mercantile, Ben painted Orsian's network, key facilities, habits, off-world shipments sealed by warrants of trade and ushered into the golden counting house by a private dock from the upper spires. 3 such cargoes in 10 days, the 4th due in 3. The warning cut across his secure Vox. Compromise suspected. Withdraw to secondary rendezvous. Codes matched Veil's, which meant nothing to a mimic. Ben burned the safe house, data slagged, gear packed, exits clean, and moved to an abandoned medikey in the mid-hive where the geometry favored defenders. Inside, Veil, the judge, the warded psyker Epsilon, and a combat operative he didn't know. They held a defensive diamond. Weapons down but ready. If I meant you harm, Deathwatch would be redecorating, Veil said without turning. You said compromise, Ben answered. Explain. Epsilon detected a psychic probe in my quarters, Veil said. Eldar signatures. If Orsian has their aid, it explains much. His security outstrips his station. His people sometimes act with foreknowledge. The judge added, 3 hours ago, an Arbites precinct's evidence vault burned. Records on guild activities gone. The attackers left no bodies. They're sanitizing, Ben said. Accelerating the protocol. Agreed, Veil replied. You will intercept the shipment at Bay Primus Secundus. We'll draw security elsewhere. Assume all channels are compromised. Assume your retinue could be too, Ben said. Hands twitched toward triggers. Veil stilled them. Each bears a psychic imprint Epsilon watches, Veil said. Not foolproof, but better than trust. Ben filed the reassurance under maybe. Then I work solo. One more truth, Veil said. 3 days ago, the High Lord signaled, the Golden Throne is failing. 5 years, perhaps less. Silence. Tasted like iron. Ben saw the galaxy blink without a lighthouse and understood the protocol's grim appeal. Orsian's timing isn't guesswork, he said. He bargains with Xenos and worse to survive the bonfire, Veil said. Pragmatism does not launder heresy. Ben kept philosophy behind his teeth. I'll be at the bay. Bring your distraction. The Emperor protects, Veil said dryly. Perhaps something else keeps an eye on you. They left him with the weight and the window he needed. Bay Primus Secundus was function-stripped beauty. Gantries into void. Void shields whispering. Servitor cranes moving continents one crate at a time. From a maintenance crawlway, Ben watched House Belisarius's sleek vessel kiss the dock. Its lines too clean for Imperial piety. Admin voices drifted up, nervous. Triple-sealed warrants. Inquisitorial countersigns. Orders not to log contents. Protection at the highest tiers. Cipher. Ben voxed to Kyne's lieutenant. Status on Orsian's transport? The gilded hand en route. 23 minutes. 2 squads of his guard. 1 psyker handler with null restraints. Copy, Ben said, eyes narrowing. Null restraints implied something psychic in the cargo. He moved. The docking arm exposed a breath of vacuum. Big chill folded into the cold and drifted, intangible to the trader's hull. Geometric patterns crawled when viewed sidelong. He found an environmental vent and phased through, frost-kissing metal. Inside, clean corridors with no shadows. Gray matter took over, slipping past a picket scanner through a maintenance conduit and halting at a psychic ward like a cat at a closed door. Okay, he whispered, tracing conduits. Not through, around. He wormed into paneling, bypassing the ward's monitored aperture, and dropped near the spine cargo bay. The door was double-locked, mechanical teeth married to a mind's eye. Ben exhaled, tapped the dial. Echo multiplied, a chorus drawing a thin countertone to fuzz the ward. At the threshold just enough while gray matter teased the physical sequence. 30 seconds. A soft hiss. In cold bit. 6 obsidian-like containers ringed a central, obviously Imperial control plinth. Eldritch glyphs ribboned the black cases. Specks struggled, signatures hid like eels. Gray matter jacked the plinth instead. Fragments spilled. Phase-shifting architecture. Dimensional stabilizers. Real space anchors. 1 crate flagged a biomechanical interface subject. Success bonded to a human host. Vex's whisper of a mimic in the vault found echo here. Approaching life signs spiked on his HUD. Early. He worked fast, memorizing serial geometries, logging manifests, and, as Diamond Head for a breath, pressing a shaving-thin crystal vein into a carved groove on each case, invisible as dust. Not a tracker, just a tell he could spot again. He had turned to leave when the subject's crate sang a soft chime. Its skin rippled and opened like liquid stone. It stepped out. Humanoid. Wrong. Limbs a little too long. Proportions a little too graceful. skin like living obsidian with oil-slick iridescence. The face was a smooth mask that occasionally suggested features, as if trying on options. Ben stilled. Big Chill's camouflage would not fool this. The knot face turned toward him anyway, fingers rethreading into scalpel tapers. The sound it made was language pressed through a throat that didn't exist. The Omnitrix translated enough to hurt. "Observer," it said. "You are not of this reality's pattern." Camouflage dropped. Ben stood human, palms open. "What are you?" "I am transition," it replied. "Purpose-built, consciousness-shaped. I facilitate the necessary alteration of form and function." The knot face rippled, almost smiling. "Your molecular pattern shows translation trauma. I could repair this." "You killed Inquisitor Corinth," Ben said. "Corinth." "Transition," echoed, head tilting as if picking a mask to fit the name, and boots pounded closer beyond the bulkhead. The Omnitrix chimed, low and urgent. Ben's thumb hovered over green. "Then we both have timing problems," he murmured, choosing what to become before the door, and this thing decided for him. "If testing the name, yes," the thing said, voice like metal flexing, a necessary excision of corrupted code. The Inquisition's monitoring functions threatened premature activation of the protocol. It admitted to killing Corinth the way a servitor reports purging a cache. Ben's shoulders squared. He felt boots in the passage outside. Orsian's team closing. "Your Vermilion protocol will fail," Ben told it. "The Imperium won't fold the way you think." "The Imperium is already falling," the entity replied, tone softening into something almost kind. "The Golden Throne fails. The light dims. We do not cause the entropy. We route adaptation pathways for selected human stock." Locks thumped. The outer hatch began to cycle. Ben snapped the dial. Heat blast flared. One palm up, a sun-bright flash that cooked every camera. In the room to cinders. Then green washed again, and Big Chill inhaled the heat he'd made, exhaling an instant whiteout of hoarfrost and vapor. He rose, phasing through the ceiling grill. The entity did not pursue. "We will meet again. Dimensional anomaly," it called, voice slipping under Ben's skin. "Your pattern is indexed. There is nowhere you can hide from me." In the ducts, Ben pushed XLR8 fast toward the egress, breath fogging his own wake, Omnitrix thrumming against his wrist like a second pulse. He'd got what he needed, and given the thing his name, Kyne's network and Vale's channel took his burst. Transition is awake. 6 obsidian crates retasked to Orsian's transport, the Gilded Hand. Destination, the Golden Counting House. The picture clarified as he ran the data through the Omnitrix's logs, not just hoarded tech and tainted stimulants. Orsian was laying rails for a future only a chosen sliver would ride. Directed evolution, Xenos interfaces, selected stock. If he succeeded, he'd curate a species. Ben had heard the argument before in other colors. It always ended with fewer people left to argue. Hive Primus's commercial heart wore a cathedral's face and a bunker's bones. The Counting House wrapped Gothic splendor around layers of augurs, servitor readers, and psychic wards. Gray matter sketched the route while the Iron Apostles built the bait. A servitor control mimic box, fabricated from entirely local components. No alien crosstalk, no Omnitrix fingerprint. A crate of cleaning solvents rolled in on the eastern dock. Servitors hauled it 3 levels above the vault. The lid clicked, and Big Chill slid out with a breath of winter. 2 picked recorders frosted into silence. He drifted to a maintenance grill and vanished into the building's lungs. He dropped 4 levels along utility chutes mapped from Kyne's schematics, pausing when augmetic patrols passed under him. The Omnitrix pulsed a caution about time. He let the cold burn off, went human, listened, then dialed gray. Gray matter slid along cable trunks fat as oaks. The tracker tells he'd hidden in the trader's crate sang from below. All 6 were now in the vault level. Security had doubled. Orsian smelled the storm coming. The official lift to the vault stood between 2 transition kin statues that weren't statues at all. Featureless faces rippling sometimes toward expression, harnessed with devices that throttled and focused their gifts. They did not blink. Ben didn't test them. He cracked an ornamental panel, popped a hatch, and found the power spine, a vertical shaft threaded with cable bundles and coolant pipes. He slid 60 meters down, boots whispering along guide rails, and found a lateral tunnel marked with Mechanicus wards. Inside, a single tech priest, more machine than monk, whispered to his banks. Big Chill drifted behind him and pressed Winter to the juncture of spine and augmetic. Breath condensed, systems dimmed. The priest sagged into cold sleep, alive and unalarmed. The chamber's boards bloomed a map of the vault below. Guards, wards, the 6 obsidian crates in a central lab, where non-standard tech adepts married alien architecture to imperial arrays. One room at the core bristled with locks and litanies. Primary vault. Access. Orsian. Architect. Oracle. An alert strobed across the displays. Surveillance feeds showed Vale breaching the grand atrium at the head of Arbites and her own. In one fist a rosette scroll, in the other a crackling power sword. By the ordos of the Emperor, Guildmaster Orsian, submit. Bad timing, Ben thought. Or perfect, depending which side watched the clock. Ben crouches above the primary vault. Watching Orsian, gilded prosthetics glinting, mechadendrites whispering over controls as the transparent cylinder drains. Inside the Oracle, a human Xenos hybrid wired into the dais like a living node. Her voice folds through Vox and mind alike. The shadow in the maintenance shaft, she says, turning to the dark. Step forward, observer. Ben drops to the floor. Stance open, but anchored. Keeping both Orsian and Inquisitor Vale, just breached and burning with authority, in his periphery. By the Ordos. Orsian, Vale declares, power sword crackling. Excommunicate traitoress, your name erased. You fight for a dying empire, Orsian replies, crystalline eyes flaring. I offer continuity. The Oracle studies Ben, pupils too luminous to be human. You understand endings. Your pattern is not of this reality. I understand victims, Ben says. Your transition dumps most of them off the lifeboat. A predictable ethic from privilege, Orsian sneers. We preserve the best of humanity. And who decides best? Ben fires back. You? Your alien friends? A shock ripples the vault. Warning runes bleed crimson. Orsian's mechadendrites move faster. Stabilization grid failing. Accelerate the sequence! Proceed! The Oracle intones. Harmonics cutting bone. Primary awakening. Authorized. Vale raises her bolt pistol and fires. The shell blossoms against an invisible field around Orsian. He doesn't flinch. The cylinder fully retracts. The Oracle's lower body is a sail of conduits meshed to the dais, a corona of crystal spines pulsing regulated warp light. The awakening begins, she announces. Dimensional anchors engaged. Transition nodes active. Humanity will survive, evolved. Ben's jaw tightens. Not like this, he moves. The Omnitrix chimes. Heat blast flares into being. Comet heart blasting a focused thermal spike into the primary power junction. Capacitors scream. Orsian's field flickers. The Oracle tilts her head, then gasps as Echo bursts into a dozen White Shadow clones high on the arches, weaving a razor-thin counter-resonance that frays her psychic harmonics without frying bystanders. She's not a target. Ben warns his own chorus. Disrupt, don't destroy. The field around Orsian drops a degree. Annoying, he hisses green strobes. Diamond Head slams down beside the dais, driving crystal wedges with surgical precision into the conduits that shunt warp-regulated energy through the node. The Oracle's expression fractures. Her network's confidence stutters to static. No, she says. Suddenly more woman than Oracle. The pattern phrase. Good, Ben says. Let it. Automated turrets unfold. XLR-8 skates into existence, time syrup slow under his feet, as he threads bullets and beams alike, planting Diamond Head shards as breakers across key runs, then cutting back to human as the Omnitrix chirps a warning. Ben! Vale barks over the chaos, reading the play. Keep the node off balance. Working on it. A last transformation for this fuse. Gray matter darts up the dais, antennae-tasting subharmonics. Sever here, he mutters, tapping the precise splice where human tissue meets Xeno substrate. And here, green floods. Diamond Head returns, carving a seam that splits connection without cutting flesh. He braces, then snaps the bond with a faceted twist. Now! He shouts. Heat blast reappears in a blink and overdrives the already bleeding junction. Orsian's mechadendrites spasm, feedback ripping through gold and nerve. He collapses, field dead. Vale takes her chance, one brutal holy arc. Her sword hums. Orsian's head rolls, crystalline eyes flickering out. All units, hold fire. She orders her retinue, voice iron over panic. Secure the chamber. The vault groans. Systems fail in a cascade. Stasis tanks burp open along the walls. The moat boils to blue steam. The oracle lies severed from the dais, lower half a ruin of hoses and light, yet eerily composed. You have delayed the inevitable, Ben Tennyson, she says. Voice weaker, still two-toned. The network exists beyond me. Delay becomes opportunity. Ben answers, breathing hard. Human again as the Omnitrix sags to red. Now people know. Now they can choose. The Imperium does not choose, she murmurs. It obeys. Vale advances, sword still live. This abomination returns to my fortress for interrogation and purging. Ben steps between them, palms out. She's an intel source. Kill her and you kill our only map. Step aside, Vale warns. My authority. The Oracle's voice doubles, familiar undertones slipping through. The knight from beyond plays his part. Inquisitor, Vale flinches. That voice. Impossible. Nothing is impossible on the path of divergent futures, the Oracle replies. You recognized it from Corinth's recordings. Ben's eyes narrow. You were with Corinth. A simplification, she says. I became what Corinth could not, Nexus and Witness. Some in your Inquisition already chose humanity's survival over Imperial dogma. Why do you think Orsian moved unchecked? Vale's certainty wavers. The vault lurches again. Lighting dies to emergency red. The dimensional anchors are destabilizing, the Oracle says. Alarm breaking through. Without a living Nexus, automated compensation will tear the hive. Fix it, Ben says. Tell me how. You can't, she answers. A neural reset requires me back in the core. It will contain the distortion in a local breach, but my consciousness is forfeit. Vale doesn't hesitate. She holsters the pistol, grabs the Oracle under the arms, and drags her toward the Nexus. For the Emperor and mankind, she says through clenched teeth. Judgment can damn me later. The floor bucks. Ben staggers, then lunges, but Vale is already forcing severed conduits into place with bare burning hands. Ben! She shouts over the rising scream of reality. Use what you've gathered. Prepare them. Not Orsian's way, and not blind faith. Better. The Omnitrix limps green. Ben nods once. I'll make them listen. The Oracle's face smooths into terrible poise as connections bite home. The pattern completes, she whispers. The knight becomes king. The Inquisitor becomes prophet. The Oracle becomes memory, energy arcs. The vault bends like a bell. Ben's HUD blanks under phenomena his math refuses. Vale's armor begins to crack. Go, she orders. Voice now a ragged prayer. Someone must live to tell it right. He goes. Big chill unfurls in the maintenance shaft, phasing through collapsing braces, carrying evidence slates cinched to his chest in rhyme. He rises through the building's bones as the reset detonates below like a silent sun. By the time he hits the upper levels, alarms herd guild clerks into panicked columns. Above, the ornate rooftop garden tastes vacuum through shattered glass. He pauses at the edge. Hive Primus reaches for a poisoned sky. In the distance, the visible kink of spacetime at the vault's heart wrinkles, tightens, and seals. Contained. A final pulse radiates outward, a psychic echo of iron duty braided with alien grace. Thank you, Ben says to no one, and both. The Omnitrix flickers. He voxes Kind's network. Extraction Alpha. Primary target neutralized. Data package live. Send to Vale's loyal cells Mechanicus Pragmatists and the traitors who listen. Received, the cipher replies. May your pattern persist, Night Haunter, Ben sighs. Let's retire that nickname. He shoulders toward the jump when the air itself ripples, the same wrongness that brought him here tugging at his atoms again. The Omnitrix thrums in sympathy. The vault's collapse has pulled a thread and the tear answers. Figures, he says softly. Right choice, wrong universe. He fires one last burst of transmissions, evidence redundancies, protocols for shelters, instructions on stabilizing bells and anchors learned in blood. Then the world thins. Through the veil he glimpses other battles, other hymns, other choices. Imperial Navy silhouettes cut the clouds, late to the truth but not too late to matter. What they do with it is now their story. Do better, Ben whispers, to Vale's memory, to Kind's underhive, to anyone listening, and lets the tear take him. Green light threads into the dark. The hive breathes, scarred, but alive.